Call this meeting to order.
Recording in progress.
All right. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock. How is everyone today?
Wonderful.
All right. Whoops. I've got to get to my spot. There we go. I'd like to start our meeting off today by reading our and if you'll notice, I did include it in the minutes, so moving forward, we'll include it in the agenda. So as we call to order, as we gather today, we acknowledge that Eureka, California is ancestral territory of the Wiyot people. We also honor all Indigenous people and territories and sovereign governments that share governance within Humboldt County, California. We gather with respect and gratitude to these Indigenous people. We thank and honor the Indigenous caretakers of this land who continue to cherish and protect it. Their elders have instructed the young to consider the 7 generations ahead as they continue to protect the rights of the land and all people who live on it. We encourage all to align and follow the lead of local Indigenous communities as they steward the land and protect all of its natural resources. And I'd like to call 1 minute of silence while we take a moment to reflect upon those words and honor the Indigenous who were on the land before us. So we're going to begin our moment of silence now. All right, thank you, everybody. Lisa, we had just, welcome, Lisa. We just did our land acknowledgement and we're finishing our moment of silence.
Okay.
At this time, if we could do roll call, please.
Thank you, Mary. Am I coming through okay? Can you hear my mic?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we'll start roll call. Commissioner Lochte.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Larson.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Glover.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Perkins, I think, is going to be in at about 5:30, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Thank you. Commissioner Aronoff.
Present.
Thank you. I am here. Commissioner Haney. Commissioner Harper. Not here tonight. Commissioner Lyons.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Morgan.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Sundberg.
Here.
Thank you. And Commissioner Rowe.
Here.
Thank you. That completes roll call.
So I have studio control room with their hand up. Or no, never mind. That was me. My mistake. All right. I'm going to move to agenda item 3. Are there any agenda items, adjustments? Jim?
I would like to request that the Human Rights Survey Ad Hoc Committee report be moved to as early a point as possible because we may have a guest joining us who we'd like to introduce.
Whose phone is that? If you can.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, let's find out when they get here, and when they come on, we'll move it to that point. Does that work for everybody?
Oh, Ellen?
Hello, Jim. This is Ellen. How are you?
Fine. I was just talking about you. Are you
Okay.
going to be able to join us?
I am. I'm so sorry I got stuck in.
Okay, we're going to let Jim move on with that, and we'll figure that out in a minute.
Marianne, it's Lisa. I would like to go into closed session.
We can't do a closed session without announcing that beforehand and giving a 72-hour notice. There will not be a closed session today. Part
Okay,
of our agenda today. But I'll be glad to talk to you afterwards about what you might want to talk about during the closed session, okay?
sure.
Okay.
And want it noted that I did request it in email form
Absolutely, you did.
several days ago.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We're postponing the approval of the minutes. David does not have them ready, so we're going to approve them next month. Is that correct, David? All right. Agenda item 5, the treasurer's report.
As far as I know, there's no change. I haven't actually gotten a copy of the latest report from the bank, but I can report that at least I'm now officially the treasurer, and hopefully by next meeting I'll have regular access to all the material, so I won't have to depend on the mail. I'll be able to get it through my Gmail account.
And also you got all the signatures finally. That took over a year for all the signatures to be done on it.
Well,
So,
hasn't been a year, so.
no, there was an adjustment way before you were, that never got taken care of. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay, guests or presenters, I don't think, have you talked to your person, Jim?
She's going to join us very shortly. So if we can, she's not a presenter. She would, we would just introduce her during the ad hoc committee report for the human rights survey.
And she'd have her 3-minute, got it. Okay. We're going to move on to, I'm not sure what my granddaughters are in there. We're going to move on to public comment. I'll read this. I don't see any public here tonight, but I'd like to read this recognition and introduction of guests.
Yes, we do.
Carpani, I think you're a board member, Carpani. I don't know why you're not a board. I forget.
Because I'm just here all the time.
Well, I just love seeing your face. Okay, hold on 1 minute, Alma. Recognition and introduction of guests and visitors. If the public is invited to speak regarding matters not on the agenda, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Pursuant to the Ralph M. Brown Act, Commission may not act on an item not appearing on the agenda. I'll make sure I didn't see, here's someone coming in. If a member of the public speaks and requests assistance on a non-agenda subject, Commission may not take any action or propose any solutions, but the citizens may be given a resource card for contact information relevant to their issue. The citizen may be given a complaint intake form for purposes of adding to a future agenda of the next regular HRC meeting. And finally, an individual commissioner may speak to the citizens apart from the meeting and recommend steps they might take. Members of the public will each be allowed to speak on agenda items once during discussion, usually at the end of commissioner comments, and prior to any actions or vote by the commission. Time to speak will be closely monitored. Public is invited to speak regarding matters not on the agenda. Comments received by email will be presented. If a comment is presented by Zoom, it will be limited to 3 minutes again. All right. So are there any public comments at this time?
Everybody's okay, I hope.
All right. Moving on, Commissioner Communication. Let me see who this is. Ellen, I see that you've just come in, and we were just opening for public comment. Public comment would be limited to 3 minutes, and the commission may not take any action or propose any solutions. We cannot. You're invited to speak regarding matters not on the agenda, and we cannot take any action on any item at this time. But if you had any public comment, we were just at that moment right now.
Ellen is our guest.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just being appropriate.
Thank you.
All right. So thanks, Ellen, for being here, and we'll get to you. Okay, let's move on to item number 8. That's going to be Commissioner Communications. Do any of the commissioners have anything that they'd like to share? All right, so moving on to item number 9. emails, regular mail, and phone calls. Does anybody have anything that they need to discuss at this time? All
Are you
right.
are you asking about the phones?
Nope, that comes next. All right. Seeing none, moving to item number 10, message line report. Mr. Glover, you would go first.
Yeah, there isn't too much to report. I had multiple phone calls from one individual, and it was determined over those phone calls that there really wasn't any action that he expected us to take, but he wanted to vent his feelings, and he did that. And other than that was the most significant call of the period.
All right, and then I came next, the 16th through the 30th, and I had somebody from Area 1 Agency on Aging ask for our information. Yeah, it was Avery. Go let Avery in. And then we also had, I think the same person you're speaking about, also called to talk a couple times. And then Mr. Miller, you were saying that there were some I didn't have any saved message, so a little confused on that. I went back and listened, but go ahead, Larry, you'd go next.
Yeah, when I jumped in on the 1st of October, there were 4 saved messages. There were none, and there were, I went and checked the forms, jail, reports, and there have been no, reports submitted. 3 of the calls were from a gentleman inside the jail, and one was from a lady that, and maybe Guy, you may be aware of this, but apparently not in the middle of September, the Royal Inn Motel was all of the tenants were evicted, code violations, and apparently is occurring to this lady that they did not receive proper notification. 4 days, I believe she said that they received. She was and her disabled sons were desperately looking for a place to stay. Apparently, the city had given them giving her like a $1,600 resettlement check, which apparently wasn't, didn't help that much. She did have a dog that she was unwilling to part with, so maybe that be part of her problems. I did use our resource card and referred her to Arcata House at talk with Betty Chin, and also Redwood Community Action Agency's family programs. She had not done that, and so I suggested that she call us back if she's, if there was anything else we could do for her. The gentleman in the jail I had finally. He actually, as I said, I don't know exactly, I think it was the 28th of September his call came in. Originally, I was able to finally speak with him today, and we had quite a conversation. He's a Native American gentleman who seems to be very competent in terms of law and Indian law as it relates to the federal government, and he's hopefully, it sounds like he's going to be getting out on Tuesday, and if so, I invited him to come to our next meeting, and because he is, I said, real interested in the interface between federal law and the Native Americans' rights for self-determination. And anyway, he's that's that one. Beyond that, I had a call on the 5th of October from a lady in Rancho Santa Fe. I don't know how many other commissioners get out of the area calls, but I did call her back, left a message telling her to, call us back if there was anything Humboldt County Human Rights Commission could do for her. She has not, so I'm assuming, that one is gone. And that thing, and then there was another gentleman that in the jail that actually David and I collaborated on in terms of communicating with, and he, we listened to his story, and essentially what he wanted to tell us at this point was, if we knew how he could access the complaint process for the Eureka PD, because he felt that he had some issues that he wanted to complain about with them. I talked with Sarah, our liaison with the jail today. She said that the gentleman has been made aware of the process that he needs to go through. They have in their law library or their law area access to those complaint forms. So he, whether he follows through, I suspect he will. So anyway, I think that's about it. And I'm very glad to see Eddie here, because I have filed reports on everybody. And I went back there today and they're not there. The last report filed by anybody was Jim in the middle of September. So Eddie, maybe tomorrow or sometime. I think what had happens is I've actually, they appear to be going, but then I noticed a little part of the little thing that said, notice you can't share this. And that must be why they didn't go. So is there a time tomorrow, Eddie, that would be better? I could.
You're muted, Eddie.
Do you want to do 4:30 tomorrow?
I could do 4:30 tomorrow, sure.
Okay, yeah, let's take care of that.
I'll give you a call.
Perfect.
All right, thank you. And I think that's about all I have.
All right, we're going to move on to agenda item 12, which is a correctional facilities liaison. Yes, Jim?
I just wanted to ask Larry a question. Are we at the point where Zoom meetings with inmates is even a possibility? Or has that even been discussed?
It really hasn't. And I really don't have an answer to that. Sarah Flores, our liaison, and is a really, a really helpful person. And what she's doing now is setting up these phone calls, having the inmate come into a room, and then given, I give them my number, and I think. Whoever's got the responsibility for fielding that, it's a call. I don't know why there wouldn't be. I could certainly ask Sarah, I'll talk with Sarah and see what she has to say. I'm as you all know, a real old guy that doesn't know much about those computers. So I feel real intimidated by trying to set up a Zoom meeting. But maybe if she says yay, maybe Eddie can help.
And I could as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Between Mr. Glover could totally do that. Or I'm happy to, yeah. But I think if she sets it up, it'd be like the same thing as coming into this thing. You just have to click on something.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like we're moving forward and backward at the same time. So I'm going to bring us in real quick. Is there a volunteer for January 1st through 15th to do the message line?
Since I used to not do it, I will do it this time.
Perfect, Eddie. And then January 16th through 31st. January 16th through 31st. I can take that on then. I don't mind. All right. I do see that Chief Watson has come in. Also, we were going to do the agenda item number 12, which is Correctional Facilities Liaison Report. And I'm wondering if we already did that somehow in the middle of that message line report. So we're going to call
Yes.
that complete then. Okay, at this time, I'd like to go ahead and we're going to break with protocol a little bit. Chief Watson, we're already kind of past your, it would go all the way to unfinished business, but let's put Chief Watson speak, and then we're going to go ahead and move up the agenda item we talked about in the beginning, which would be where am I at? The
Human rights.
Human Rights Survey. Does that work for everybody to do it in that order? Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, Chief Watson. Thanks for coming to visit us. We're going to go ahead and give you some time to speak at this time. How is everything?
Okay, all considered. I think you've read in the newspaper that we're all struggling quite a bit with our recruiting and retention right now, really at crisis levels, quite frankly. But we're working hard to try to replenish the ranks with quality people and looking at the creative ways where we can maintain and improve services in the meanwhile. So I do appreciate keeping us in your thoughts on that. It's been a real challenge for agencies really all across the country, but it feels very acute here locally right now. And so that can have impact on the amount of training that we can give people, for instance, and there's just a lot of trickle-down effects, as well as impacts on some of our special programs like CSET. But again, we are full speed ahead trying to recruit good people and do what we can to retain the great people that we have amongst our ranks. Just real quick regarding the investigation, we're still at the phase where now the final reports being finalized and reviewed, so we can move forward with the next steps in the investigation. You may have read somewhere online concerning one of the principal officers involved. All I can tell you at this time is that is a confidential personnel matter, and all that I can say is that he's no longer employed by the city of Eureka, and that was Officer Mefta. I can't say anything else. But again, in case you were wondering, because you read that somewhere, I can confirm he's no longer employed, and that's all I can say at this time. And that's really all I have for you. I just wanted to make sure I had a chance to check in.
We appreciate you checking in each and every time, Chief Watson. Do any other commissioners have any things they'd like to address with Chief Watson? All right. Well, there you go. That was short and sweet. We're just kind of rolling along this evening. Wonderful.
All right. Thanks for allowing me to jump to the head of the line. I appreciate it.
Yeah. We appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So take care. All right. At this time, we're going to move up the Human Rights Survey and go ahead and discuss it before the standing committee reports. Jim and Bird, take it away.
Well, I'm the one giving the report today. The first thing is we would like permission to extend our date to June the 30th, 2022, because we have hired, or I guess you say hired, an intern. She is here. That is Ellen Murphy. Would you like to wave, Ellen, so everybody sees you? And welcome to Ellen. She is a graduate student at HSU in anthropology and moved to social services because she likes people so much. She has a good understanding of difference between civil rights and human rights, and she probably will be spending over 100 hours with us. Before I finish my report, would you like to say anything, Ellen?
What do you got, Beth?
I would just like to say thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm very much looking forward to working with all of you, and I'm looking forward to it. So just a big thank you.
So welcome. We're happy to have you there. So we also would like all commissioners to know that as we're working on this committee and on the survey, that we welcome any input from commissioners all the time. Jim's communicated with Ellen and set up a schedule of meetings twice a month with her. And of course, we invited her to this meeting. She will be working with us for both semesters. So the first semester will include getting the survey completely ready to put online in the second semester. We are also working with the California Center for Rural Policy because they have done many surveys, and they've offered to help us put the survey together and be sure that we have it set up so that we get good results from it. Jim is the mentor, but I will be working with him on the ad hoc committee and with Ellen when possible.
No,
And
you can color on it. Come here.
somebody's talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's my phone, my granddaughter. So I apologize.
Okay. We in the job description that you looked at last month, we offered a minimum of $100. We would like to have that go up to $500, and so we would like that put into the schedule that's going to McLean. Guy, can you see that happens, and maybe even show them an invoice, because we can tell you we want that. We would like $500 for each semester, but if we can't get that, $250 for each semester. And we do need to get that resolved with the McLean Foundation. And let's see, I think that's about it for my report. Jim, do you want to add anything?
You're muted.
Unmute,
Jim.
Jim.
And I go and I forgot what that was. But no, I think you covered it quite well. Oh, yeah, I know what it was. A new folder has been added to the shared drive for those of you that ever look there, particularly around internships. Anything that we are creating is going to be in that folder. So you may have to interpret the file names to suit your search, but it'll get more and more full as time goes on. And in there, just a reminder, we do have the questions that we have developed so far. And again, we welcome your input. Ellen's also going to be making suggestions of anything we might have overlooked long before we put it out for publication. So please feel free to look around there and inform yourself.
Okay, a couple things. First of all, welcome, Ellen. I'm curious, are you able to use this as part of your thesis, possibly?
Essentially, this will be, instead of a thesis, we do a community project. And so this will be my community project with Humboldt State for the master's program and social work. So yes.
Great, awesome. I've been involved with that before. I'm a local teacher. Secondly, Bert, I feel like I heard two motions that needed to be put forth, but we need someone to. So
I didn't make a motion yet.
Right, but that's what I was thinking. So we want. What I was hearing is June 30th, 2022, and the $500. So those would be two different motions. Does anybody want to take care of that, Bert?
I will. Yes, I move that this ad hoc committee be extended to June 30th, 2022.
I'll second that. I think Guy beat me to it.
You can
Okay,
third
all
it.
those, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, let's go ahead and vote on it. And do we want to roll call it, or do we want to vote by acclamation?
I think, Mary,
Okay,
I think we can ask for any no's or abstains, and I would put the rest as yeses.
Okay, are there any no's?
No.
All right, unanimous?
If you want to do it correctly, you should ask for yes votes, ask for no votes, and do not ask for abstain.
Right, no abstains. You're
Once
right.
they abstain, they have to say that they want to.
That's the new rule, right?
Yes.
It is. So we should call each person. You're absolutely right. Bert, so go ahead and call the vote.
All right. Commissioner Lochte,
Yes.
Commissioner Larson,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Aronoff,
Yes.
Commissioner Haney is a yes, Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sunberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Rowe.
Yes.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
Thank you. Now, I'd also like to ask for $500 per semester for our intern from the McLean Foundation.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All right, let's take the vote then.
All right. Commissioner Lochte,
Yes.
Commissioner Larson,
Yes.
Commissioner Glover,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Aronoff,
Yes.
Commissioner Haney is a yes. Commissioner Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sundberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Rowe.
Yes.
That is unanimous. That motion passes.
Thank you very much. We will proceed. And thank you, Ellen, for being here. You can stay if you want to hear what we do, but you are not required to do that.
I appreciate the invitation. I'd like to stay as long as I can. I probably have to go in a little bit, but I definitely would like to see what happens here. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to bring it back around to agenda item 13, standing committee reports, sanctuary ordinance. Commissioner Morgan or Haney?
We tried to have a meeting this last month. It was a little bit difficult making it happen. It got busy for me. It got unbelievably busy towards the end of the month for me.
Yeah, same here.
I was hoping, and I definitely don't want to spring this just kind of out of nowhere on Eddie, because I hadn't talked with Eddie about this prior. But I was wondering, Eddie, would it be all right with you if I take chair status for this committee? I'm pretty enthusiastic, and I want to, call meetings every month and, try to get you and Guy in there and keep it rolling. I appreciate it.
I would be more than happy to do that. I've been pretty busy with my other, so I totally appreciate that and wish you well and want to support you.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
All right. Moving forward, Human Trafficking Fund, that would be Eddie again.
I don't have anything to report about that.
I do.
Okay.
Sorry.
Commissioner Lochte, go ahead.
I received an email from Craig Woods at Humboldt Area Foundation saying that from his records of everything that Humboldt Area Foundation and the county have together, he does not have to have something from the Board of Supervisors. He only has to have the minutes from the commission that we approved this thing. And I think we did it back in May, didn't we? May or June?
Yes,
So,
we did it in May.
So David, if I send you the email, could you please send that to Craig Woods? He's ready to send the money, but he can't do it without that official statement.
You got it, Bird.
Okay, I will send you, as soon as we get off the meeting, I will send you his email.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Let's move on to agenda item 14, ad hoc committee reports, racism, cultural awareness. That would be, is Carol here tonight?
Yes.
There you are.
So
I was seeing the DeLorme and it threw me off. Sorry, Carol.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 Carol Larsons in the county. And so I use my maiden name as my middle name. I just want to confirm that Lisa, you're still on the committee. Haney, you're still on the committee. And is it DeSir? She's still on the committee. Is that correct?
That's correct, Carol. Monique is currently on maternity leave. But other than that, your list is correct and accurate.
Okay, so I'll send out an email to Sundberg and Haney and myself on option dates so we can meet.
Great.
Thank you, Carol.
Why don't you also include Desir, because she might be able to talk to somebody or have ideas or something. So don't leave her out.
Thank you. Will do.
Jim, I saw your hand up.
You're muted.
Ditto
I'll take a George meeting.
Ditto to what Bird said.
I'm on the, how about the homelessness committee report, Guy? What do you got for us? I've seen a couple emails. What do you got?
Homeless Committee, we didn't meet as a group, but we did have a meeting with the homeless providers of the county, actually, 8 days ago, and I think it was fairly successful. We had people from both Eureka and Arcata and law enforcement were involved in it as well. I think we all learned a little bit over there. I think the most telling was from Betty Chin mentioning the fact that unlike the surveys we've been hearing a lot about and numbers of 1,400 homeless, she bandied a number a little closer to 2,500 in the county, which is a pretty astounding figure considering how small a county we are in the state. The only other thing that I'll report, and then again, both Aaron and David were there as well, so I'm sure they may have some comments as well. I did meet with a representative with Jared Huffman, matter of fact, today, talking about some of these issues because I called back a couple of the people who spoke and asked them, what is the most troubling issue they have. And of course, probably the biggest is the fact that we have about $11 million coming into the county over the next 4 or 5 years, and then being told that maybe 2 million they're never going to get to because of all the bureaucracy and red tape and everything going there. And so I talked to Jared Huffman's representative here in Eureka, and he offered to help them to maybe get through some of it as much as they possibly can. I also asked him if there was any hope we would see any aid, additional aid, from the federal government. And the short answer to that was no, don't expect anything from the federal government. I know Bernie Sanders has got the only bill dealing with homeless that has been languishing in Congress for the last 2 years. He's managed to get, I think, 6 sponsors. It's not going anywhere. And I think we're going to have to deal as much as possible, of course, with the state, which has thankfully been providing quite a lot of money statewide for a number of things. But it's moving along. Hopefully we'll see more progress. But again, maybe Aaron and David would like to comment as well. Thank you.
Sure. I think it was a good meeting. And David, as secretary, took these fantastic notes, like on one page, and got it all down. So we now have a beautiful record of what was discussed by pretty much the heavy hitters of the county who work in that field. So I don't know if everyone got a copy of your notes, David? No?
No, but I will send those out, Aaron. Thank you.
Will you put them in the shared drive? Is that okay? Or perfect.
You got it, Eddie. Yeah.
I'll add one more note to that too. The Zoom meetings do provide us with a transcript, and I believe I've already put that on the shared drive for everybody. So there's no link to the video. I didn't want to put that on the shared drive because it's like 1 gigabyte or more for the meeting, which was ridiculous. So I just put the link if you actually want to see all our wonderful faces. But if you're only interested in the text, there's a 20K text file. So it's very short, to download, and you can see what everybody's stated during the meeting.
So, Guy, you could put that in our YouTube channel and just have it secure so only board members, or I don't know how you want to treat that, but you have plenty of space in there.
Okay, well, I'll talk with you about how to do that because I'm not familiar how to do that.
Not a problem.
Okay.
All right, that sounded like some really great progress. Does any other commissioners have any comments they want to make on that? That's great, you guys. I'm thankful to hear everybody getting together and doing that.
Marianne, if I could, I wanted to make a few comments. I thought it was a really great meeting. I thought it was productive to an extent. It was great for the commissioners, I think, the commission, to hear the concerns of these people that have been doing this provider work in the county for a long time. I think it was great to hear that they already have a bit of a meeting that goes on between the providers. So there's open communication happening in the county. I think that's great. Another thing that we hit on is what Guy talked about, the $2 million that it seems like because of red tape, we're not going to see in our county. And I think that's a problem. And I'm really glad that Guy followed up with Jared Huffman on that to get some help there. Personally, when I took the feedback from the providers in the community, they had great ideas. They had great ideas like safe parking, legal campgrounds, restrooms that are safe and accessible. The interesting thing about this is that it seems like we're going to have potentially homeless issues for quite a while, especially if one of the things we spoke about is the sea level rising locally. We're going to have people displaced in the King Salmon area and other areas along the coast here. And so it feels like we need some kind of way in this county to have emergency response much more robust. If we all of a sudden had 1,000 new people homeless in the county because of, let's say, sea level rising in a few years, how is the county going to effectively handle that? Is the county going to be ready for that? Is policy set up to allow emergency uses for funds to get help to people and to secure housing in an emergency fashion? Those are going to be some of the longer term issues and the larger issues that are going to really affect homelessness in Humboldt County if we're not able to adequately not react, but we don't want to be always reactive, right? It's better to be proactive. We have to have a ready to go, kind of infrastructure set up. So that way, if there's a problem, we've got something that, we can rely on, or policy set up so that way we can quickly get money to people that have been disaffected. But it was a great meeting, and I'm really thankful that it got called and that we brought the providers together.
Wonderful. I think that's great. All right, Eddie.
Can you maybe surmise, because when we talked about, there's, the $2 million that we're not going to be able to get to because of red tape, that just sounds to me wrong. And being part of big bureaucracies, was there any discussion of how that can be facilitated, or because that just doesn't sound right to me? And the attitude of like, there's red tape, so we're not going to do it. That just was there any further discussion, or is that we just giving up?
No, Eddie, I think there was more discussion, and I've gotten more information from them. But I think one of the things I sent out to all of you was, and this was not federal, but was state, SB 140. And if you look at the criteria, they've got, I was talking again with Jared's representative, and I, sitting there saying, I don't feel I'm an ignorant man. Yet when I look at all this criteria, I go, we need to have something streamlined, because, these organizations are all running on grant money that, runs out, and they have to keep renewing or get new grants. And, by the time, they go through all this rigmarole to get something, either the timing is done. And so this is why they're, losing a lot of stuff over there. But we are trying to address that so that we don't lose the money. And I'm hopeful that Jared Huffman's office may help us, make maybe either secure extensions and deadlines, or at least aid us in making sure that we can get as much of federal monies as possible. And I don't want to jump ahead of anybody, but I wanted to tag on to what David mentioned too, that was also mentioned at the meeting, that I think was also really important. We talked about climate change, and last night I know Senator McGuire had 4,000 people from the county participate in a discussion on climate change here and its impact in our area. The other thing we've all been discussing as well is the fact that Arcata and Eureka look to double the size of their populations over the next decade with all the renewed industry that appears to be coming in here. We have wind energy, the fish farm, the Polytechnic. It's the new, cable across the Pacific. And so there's going to be a lot of changes. And I I concur with Mr. Haney's remark that, we want to be proactive. We don't want to wait until all this falls in our lap. We need to address it because we're not only needing housing, obviously, for the homeless. It's critical right now. But if we have 8 or 10,000 new people, the 800 new rooms that HSU is building is not going to handle it. And we have to deal with that sooner than later.
Aaron?
Yeah, there's another issue, which is that we've had a huge influx of people, from fire refugees to weather refugees, and there's just no housing inventory to rent or to buy, from what I'm hearing. So it's just another thing we're facing.
All right, Carol, did I see your hand up, Carol?
Yes. At this meeting, was there any questions or comments regarding our homeless and the percentage that have been vaccinated?
Did you say that they were vaccinated?
Yes.
I don't recall anything really dealing directly with that. I mean, the one thing I will tag on with what you're asking is, and Ms. Chin seemed to be, very much in agreement with that. I mentioned to her that I think we need to do a campaign in our community to recognize who the homeless are, because unfortunately, the imagery that most people have are of the people that are getting picked up by the police and who are mentally ill, but they represent maybe 2-3% of the people that are homeless. And yet, if you ask people who the homeless are on the streets of, Eureka, Arcata, whatever, they just talk about those people. And we have a lot of invisible people who don't have homes. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know as far as, vaccinations and other issues as well.
As a teacher, it's shocking how many homeless there are that are students. Lisa?
Yeah, I was just curious from those of you on the board in our discussion with the homelessness and the lack of housing in the area. I'm just curious, what is it that the board can do? I mean, what can we do, and what kind of recommendations are we just? What is it that we can do from this level?
It's a great question. I talked to Michael Wilson, one of our supervisors, back a while ago, because when I got on this committee, I wanted to know what we were supposed to do. And he didn't give us a hell of a lot of direction. So I just kind of figured we ought to take it on our own to, if nothing else, put people's feet to the fire to get them to start doing something. I mean, I'm a firm believer of 1930s New Deal type policies where, you try all kinds of things and see what sticks. Because people who are homeless right now depend on people like us to make a difference for them, because it's not going to help if it comes in 5 years or 10 years or in 50 years. They need homes. They need someplace, to take shelter and food right now. So if nothing else, I figure we're going to try to push these guys to do something.
Larry?
Yeah, the county can do something, and one of the vehicles they should and could do and have in the past is the housing element produced by the planning department. That element has an area that is specifically deals with homelessness. It is also the document that kind of dictates how much money the county can get through the community development department. So, I think some pressure can be or should be put on them. I'm not exactly sure where the housing element is in terms of its revision, but it is a document that really should be addressing the issue. So. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Tim?
And not to be too repetitive, but Lisa, the biggest thing we can do as a commission is to pressure the Board of Supervisors to make policy decisions like the planning document and anything else, whether it's the decriminalizing homelessness or anything like that, we can affect pressure on the Board of Supervisors, or we should anyway.
And what mechanism would we be able to do that, I guess? Because we're going right into winter time right now. It's fall, and we know that I think we're at like 1,500 homeless, something like that. And then again, I reiterate, I've heard anywhere from 7,000 to 12,000 new students coming in from that polytechnic, status. And so between a combination, does the county have land that they can designate for something like this? Or what is it that's stopping the county? Or what is it that they need to, what can they do?
My suggestion would be to go to a Board of Supervisors meeting and as a community member, ask them directly.
Because is there a plan? I mean, I know like for the Energy Commission and for, there's different plans that the city and the county do. So is there a plan and have we reviewed it? That might be a decent start place.
These all sound like great questions that I think our homelessness ad hoc committee has heard and can work on. Does that sound good to those who are on the homelessness committee? There's some good questions to ask about that and to think about during that committee meeting. That'd be great.
Mary Ann, if I may, for a quick moment, I just wanted to add, I did bring up at the meeting that was one of the things that we could do as a commission is make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. And I just wanted to reiterate really quickly some of the great ideas that we heard from Charlene Catt, Darlene Spoor, and Nezzy Wade were legal campgrounds, safe parking is a need that was discussed, accessible and safe restrooms, and also a look at policy to make sure, like I was saying before, that that policy's set up. I just wanted to really quickly add, as I close what I'm saying on this, there's a certain bar, and here we are in a county that has a huge need to have homeless people helped. And, we're living in this capitalist country. If we want to look at what just happened over in Berlin, I think it was 200, and I may be wrong on this number, but I think it was 250,000 apartment units got turned into socialized housing, literally got taken from landlords. Any landlord that owned over 3,000 apartment units, they had their property taken, and those units, those entire buildings and complexes were socialized into socialized housing for the people. And they were very happy over there about that, right? Well, we're in a different country. I know it's not Berlin. I know this is not, that, but we still got to make some choices and decisions. And like, if ideas are being presented like legal campgrounds and safe parking, those are two of like the main things discussed. Like, we've got to get the Board of Supervisors on board with just passing those. And when we get money from state or federal, then we can see them get implemented. But we've got to, like Guy said, we've got to pressure the people that are going to be able to make these decisions happen. Thank you for the time.
Sounds like the committee, you've all put a lot of thought into this so far, and it'd be great to put together something, a proposal to bring to the whole commission to maybe give what would you call it, Bird or Jim, to give our findings or I don't think suggestions is the right word, but to present something to the Board of Supervisors on behalf of our community as presented by the Human Rights Commission. Bird?
I think we would want to have it in the form of a recommendation to the board for perhaps for a specific policy or for a specific action that has come from the committee. But it needs to be in the form of a recommendation from the commission to the Board of Supervisors.
So the next good steps would be for the committee to work on creating that recommendation, to bring it to the commission so we could vote on that so that it could be presented to the board. I think that's the protocols we have to follow. Correct, Jim?
I think so. The only thing is, once we get to that point, I would strongly urge that we not have it buried in the consent calendar because it doesn't get the attention of the board and it doesn't get the attention of the public when that happens.
I agree with that. I'd like to see some of us go and speak to the board during open comments and say that we want it on this consent calendar, because I do agree that some things that we try to send forward are just getting lost in the consent calendar, as I've found out recently. Lisa?
Yeah, I really feel like, today we need to make a decision, or at least urge this committee to not delay in this either. And I don't know what other kinds of things that we could move forward, or any ideas that we can work on between now and David, or is it David or Carol? It would be calling that meeting, but to round up recommendations and get this done with it by next meeting, because we are now September, and then the Board of Supervisors would have to make a decision. So if it would be a safe parking or, stuff like that, those decisions would need to be made right away. And then announcements would need to be made and actions, because we're going to go right. It's starting to rain now. And we would have to at least make some action has to happen. And so I just would urge us to move on this right away.
All right, committee, it sounds like you've gotten your, we've all kind of had our comments. I'm going to move on now, if that's okay with everybody. But that was a very thoughtful discussion, and I applaud everybody for participating in it. We've already done human rights surveys, so we're going to move to the new commission logo. That would be Perkins. Is Perkins here today? No.
She was going to be here, but
that's what I thought. How about Rowe or Glover? Do we have any? Have we done anything?
We didn't meet unless you met, Aaron. Yeah.
Okay, no report on that. So we'll move to agenda item 15, the EPD texting investigation situation. We already got a report from Chief Watson, so we'll go past that. We also have the cannabis survey as unfinished business. Aaron and I were both on the ad hoc committee. I've reviewed all of the notes. I've spent the last month reviewing all of the notes. And at this time, Aaron and I can't move, so I guess it would have to be you, Aaron, but we want to take no further action on the cannabis survey for several reasons. We could not find anything in the anywhere, everywhere we searched, we could not find anything, any communications or any of the anything that UC Berkeley did. So we were not able to find it in any of our files or any of our shared drives or anything. Reviewing all of the comments, UC Berkeley does not have the time to do it. Lelena, who used to be the head of that committee, said that she didn't have the time to do it. And Aaron and I both discussed it at length, and neither of us have the time to go any further with it. And most of the data was collected almost a year ago, or at least a year ago. We are finding out if we can legally give the data to Lelena or to UC Berkeley to do what they would like to do with it. Is there anything else you want to add to that, Aaron?
No.
I would just like to point out how important it is to have good record keeping and keeping those records, so that in the future, after a year of stuff that we talk about now. So, but no, that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, I looked very clearly. I had Jim on Zoom with me, so that there was more than one person looking through all of the records, and I could find nothing that, and I never wasn't at any meeting with UC Berkeley. I didn't attend any of them. So it was kind of Lelena's thing. And when Lelena left the commission, it kind of went fallow. There isn't much more that we can do with it at this point. We don't have the time to go out and talk to people we just don't have the time. Lisa?
Yeah, well, I hate to not have the results reported or whatever. The intention of the survey was so that there is funding could come down to support the people who were impacted by all the cannabis activities that have gone on, and I don't want to have anything impact those funding dollars coming to our community for the people that were impacted. So if when you say that we're not going to take any further action, are you suggesting that nothing is turned in, or whatever work that needs to be completed for those funds to come down is not going to happen?
I was never made aware when we were on the committee of anything involving funds. We are looking at the legality of allowing someone else to use the results of the survey of the people, but most of those were collected by. There was just so much unfinished on it. And I went back and literally reviewed hours and hours of meetings, Zoom meetings from before, meetings that Aaron and I had. I'm not finding any of the work done by UC Berkeley or the data done or the communications, and we looked really hard for it. And we just, at this point in time, Aaron and I were the two committee members, and Lelania took the bulk of the activity on that, and it's beyond our purview at this point. Aaron?
She also has all the expertise.
Right, and we don't. And we're looking at the legality of seeing if we can give the data to UC Berkeley or to Lelania to do with what they choose. Jim?
When you say we're looking at the legality, how are we doing that? In what way?
I'm talking to county council.
That's what I was going to suggest. They can tell you what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. And as far as the funding, tonight is the first time I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, there was no funding attached to this survey. We were looking at human rights in regards to cannabis, and that's all we were looking at. We weren't looking at it as a way to make money or to get money for anybody else. We were just looking at collecting that data. Bert?
I'm wondering if, as you're looking at the possibility of letting another group use it, that we might talk to the California Center of Rural Policy, which is a local group, and they deal with surveys. And I think we might want to see if there's somebody in Humboldt County who could do this before we send it to Berkeley.
Yeah. Well, I've never had anything to do with the Berkeley thing, so I agree with that. That's a great idea. And I think that's a great idea. Yeah, let's hear what Lisa has to say. Go ahead, Lisa.
Well, I just want to make people aware that, and again, I'm just learning about all the context of all of this. So this is not a comment. I think that is understanding where all the dots connect. But I do know that without research and without data that gets collected, when I say funds come to a community to support what's happening, we just lost another person in our community who is dear to me, and I can't tell you how many lives that have been lost because of impact from the challenges that have come from trying to engage in the cannabis industry as it is. It is a very complicated process. And there has been impact, from, I guess, a lot of activities that have happened in the space for the local community. And I just don't want to see us push it aside if we're not fully, I think, engaged in understanding of how all the dots connect. And so I would like to suggest at least maybe table it till next month, and I would like to look into it myself a little bit more so I can fully have a better understanding of what the possible next steps could be, and the impact of not doing something versus doing something. So
Eddie? Oh, go ahead, Eddie.
No, I'd like to treat this as an unfinished study. There was an effort, there was resources put into studying something, and just because I don't know, I'm not. A lot of things were not finished. There was no conclusions. There's ambiguity of the purpose and things like that. I feel that we should put it in a folder and then share it with the local, with the place that Bird recommended. Help me out here, Bird, the HSU organization.
California Center for Rural
California Center for Rural Studies, that group there, and make it available to them. And when somebody has the zeal and the know-how to maybe take advantage of that information, they can have it.
That's exactly what Aaron and I had discussed, just taking no further action. We're not throwing the data away. We're taking no further action on the data on behalf of the commission at this time until such time, and we'll be willing to work with someone else. But we were literally being asked to interview people. I mean, it was so much beyond. Once Lelania left, there was just so much that we didn't know that Lelania wanted to do, and then she was gone, and we didn't hear from her for months. And then when we did hear from her, it's been a very complicated issue since. I feel like that we are not able to make movement on because we don't have that expertise, plain and simple. So it's beyond the purview of the ad hoc committee that originally worked on it, the two members that are left, and we came to the decision that we would like to table it, that we would like to take no further action on it. But the data is there if someone reaches out to the commission or again, Centers for Rural Policy, or someone who is more able to do something with the data. We just don't have the bandwidth to do it. Aaron, that kind of, am I being succinct? I don't want to speak for you.
Yes, we voted to table it.
Yes, so that as a committee, we voted to table it and just to take no further action on it. And so I don't know, I think that would require a motion, or does it require a motion, Bird?
No, I don't think so. That's just your report.
Yeah, so it will not, we already don't have that. We've already dissolved the ad hoc committee.
Yeah, okay. And the survey is no longer anywhere public. Is that correct?
No, I got a hold of them and I couldn't find any of the emails or I could, in reviewing, I couldn't find any of the information that was supposed to be there. So that was another reason why the decision was just made to do exactly what Eddie said and just consider it.
But the survey itself is no longer on our website.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, and I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood. So we do have a folder with the information. Anybody wants in the future, that's what we're talking about, to have that, we would be more than happy to give that information to a group that would be interested.
If we're legally allowed to, because we collected information and I don't know what the privacy rights for it are, but I am checking into it with county council, like I said, to see if we can share that information, because I'll gladly give it. But at the last meeting, Lelania said she didn't have time to work on it and that UC Berkeley didn't have time to work on it. Aaron and I don't have time to work on it. And so it just, I don't know what work Berkeley ever did on it. We could not find any communications or any write-ups or anything from UC Berkeley anywhere in any of the records at all. And I diligently looked, and I had Jim be there as witness while I looked.
Is there any way we could share these files without having the names in them?
I believe that would be, and that's what I think would be the logical. I think that's what county council will say. And I could definitely redact names and say person number 1, person number 2, person number 3. I would take on that task, or you and I could work on it together, Aaron. And I have thought of that as being a viable solution so that we could share the data. Okay. Yeah, it's a complicated issue, and it's unfortunate that it just, we just were not the major participants working on that and doing everything with that. That was specifically at Lelania. Are you hiding in the forest, Eddie?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm doing let me turn some lights on here. Sorry about that.
I'd like to acknowledge I see a face I haven't seen in a long time. So
You like the bald head there.
I'd like to welcome a friend I haven't seen in a long time to our meeting. I see you down there, representing San Francisco Bayview National Blacks newspaper. It's good to see your face. Think you're muted. Yeah. Again, Lisa, you are more than welcome to look at it and do some further stuff with it and come back and have something to present. But Aaron and I are taking no further action as the former committee members of that. And we're just, at this point in time, letting that be. And if you come up with something that you want to bring and present to the commission, please do.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
No worries, because I know that we're all passionate about human rights and cannabis coming into the light of day has been a big thing in our county. But I want to get us moving on. Thanks for the discussion. The Yeehaw commune support. Aaron and I were not able to go visit, and I don't see anybody here to speak about it. So I think they're just moving forward and getting it cleaned up. It could be a great option for illegal campground, quite honestly. So the homelessness ad hoc committee might want to look at the Yeehaw commune, the Yeehaw community in the future. So I don't think anybody else has any news on that. So moving to existing storage and records. That is something that we keep talking about. Well, thank you. We keep talking about, but we haven't. Jim, what do you think? Should we create did we create an ad hoc committee? Should we create an ad hoc committee for that?
No, we haven't created one. I would like to explain especially to any of the newer people in the group, that the Human Rights Commission doesn't have a formal office anywhere. We have a filing cabinet in the courthouse in a hallway, and we have about 2.5 drawers full of historical information dating back to probably no, Larry doesn't go back that far, but back a long ways to 1964. And I have a bunch of materials, banners, tables, a file full of paperwork here at my home. I'm just afraid that over time, if we don't take some action to have a long-term repository for this information, it will get lost or get thrown out when we don't know it. And so that's why it concerns me.
Jim, have you talked to anybody at the county courthouse about permanent storage for other commissions?
I didn't think that was up to me to.
No. I just wonder because you go there. So I was just saying, hey, have you talked to them at all? And it's not.
No, I haven't. I think we should, and I would, but I just don't. We haven't done that, and I'm not sure who's going to make the decision anyway. Probably the CAO's office.
Would you be willing to research that a little bit and come back to us with that next month?
And what are we asking them to do?
Well, we're asking them where our other commission storage is at. Does every other commission have an office that's paid for by the county where they keep their stuff? I don't think all of them do. So where are records stored permanently for the county?
Larry,
I don't know.
Larry?
Go, Larry.
I was just, it's worked so far in terms of, we know we have a cabinet and, it's only got 2 drawers filled. And I don't know about the banners and things like that, where those are being stored at your house, Jim? Is that
right?
Is that where those so yeah, some kind of a storage locker, maybe made available to the Human Rights Commission. I think that would be really, logistically a good thing, so we wouldn't have to depend on, when we want to get to table, we don't have to knock on Jim's door to, get into his garage.
It isn't a matter of inconvenience to me. It's a matter of institutional knowledge. I don't want that to get lost. I think
So we're
there
just
is a storage locker ability. Maybe that's a good answer.
Are we just talking about 2 filing cabinets, like 2 6-level? I mean, how much?
Well,
That's not that much information. You know,
no, and we're not adding to it much anymore because we're doing most everything digitally.
So why don't we go ahead and scan that stuff? It would probably take us about 3 to 4 months to slowly do that. And
you do that.
Are you suggesting you're going to?
I would totally be, if you came over here and gave me 2 files a week, I would have it scanned for you and put it in there.
Are we suggesting forming an ad hoc committee for?
Not even ad hoc. Let's just scan it. You don't need a committee to scan stuff.
Okay. How do you guys feel about that?
If Eddie's willing, yes, let's give it to Eddie to get in.
All right.
I'll help, Eddie. I promise.
Okay,
That's
make sure you look, because we have a scanning machine that doesn't cost any money. So
Wonderful.
The other issue is the physical things, the tables and banners.
yeah, that stuff I'm not taking responsibility for. But the paperwork, there's no reason why we should have paperwork.
I think that we still would want to talk to the county about a possible storage place, even if it's a small thing, even if it's just a closet.
I agree. That's all good. I love seeing everybody coming together as a team and trying to solve those issues.
We do need to keep the paper with a scan. We need the paper as a backup, I would think.
Well, if we do that,
that's the point of scanning it. Yeah, we don't need it once we scan it.
Yeah.
How about resource cards update? Do we have an update on resource cards? Jim.
Well, I raised that question as well because I gave out the last of the cards that I had in my filing cabinet, and I wanted to make sure or find out whether or not other members of the commission have any existing cards. If not, we need to place an order for some, and we don't want to order so many that they become outdated before they get used up. So, Aaron.
I'm also wondering how many of those organizations are still functioning now?
Well,
services.
Well, that's a good point, but we're not the ones that update it anymore. It's the Department of Health and Human Services.
I know.
And all we need to do is tell them how many English and how many Spanish oriented cards we need, and they will take care of getting them updated and printed.
From my last email with them about 2 months ago, I think it was, they said they were in the process of updating and getting all the new information and creating new cards. So I feel like they already finished doing that, but I'm not sure. And I'll be glad to check in with them again on that.
Yeah, but we should determine how many cards we could use in a 6-month period of time, because I notice a lot of places that have had the cards before, they don't even have any anymore.
And why are we still doing it? Couldn't we refer them to Health and Human Services to request it from them?
We could, but the project started with us.
Right, but since they have the project now, maybe we should decide to say, well, they now have it and have them, instead of us every time we need more cards asking them for them, why don't we just refer people to take us out as a middleman?
I think you might want to talk to, I forget her name right now, the lady at DHHS. Maybe you better ask her if that's what they want us to do.
I'll do that.
Also, I think it helps for us we assist in distributing them.
Yes.
Okay. Larry.
Yeah, I was going to just say, let's establish if they have revised them, because this is May of 2019 was when they were last done, and because of the dynamic nature of some of these agencies, I'm sure there has been some changes, and I know there were some places that weren't on here. For example, AHA is not listed on the existing one. So, and I agree with Aaron. I think it's a very important function that the Human Rights Commission has, is to distribute these cards to police departments, libraries, wherever. And it's a good, it gets us out into the community. It gets the community, a little more aware of who and what we are. So anyway.
In the past, In the past, Jim, how many did we order?
Well, when we were still in charge of the project from start to finish, we would order thousands of them at a time, and they would go out of date before we'd ever get through half of them. So I'm thinking, of course, it depends on how many DHHS wants to print at a time. They may have a certain level that they need to have in order to make it cost effective. But I would say if we had 500 cards, 300 English, 200 Spanish, or something like that, that would probably hold us for a year.
Okay, I have an email thread going with them, so I'll talk with them and I'll suggest, do they print in bulk? Can we just ask any time, or do they print? And I'll get some answers for that and bring it back to the next meeting. Does that work for you guys?
Yep.
Larry?
I just think I would double those numbers. I think if you give a pile to each of the agencies that we've worked with, those 250 would go pretty quick.
I said 500, but yeah.
I'll find out what their printing protocols are and stuff. I'll give them a call tomorrow and see what we got going on. And I'll send a group email out to everybody so that we have all the information. Sound good?
Okay.
All right. Future meeting planning was also for new business. And I think at this time, we're going to obviously still probably continue with Zoom. I don't think that we have a meeting place or that everybody is ready to go back to meeting in person. No other commission and the county supervisors are not meeting in person yet. So, Eddie?
Have we talked about when we do go back in person that we do a hybrid? I think that will be the expectation in the future, since we have more accessibility for more people. We probably already talked about that, but I think that should be the expectation.
Well, my dream was always to have a spot so that anybody in the county could Zoom in at any time. And I think that that's one of the beauties of the fact that we did go to Zoom, is that it allows people who are not directly in Humboldt, in Eureka to. So I'm not sure who had their hand up first, Aaron or Lisa. Who had their hand up first?
I didn't have my hand up. I was just applauding that last.
Oh, Bert or Lisa? Bert or Lisa?
The hybrid.
Lisa's first.
Okay, Lisa, go ahead, Lisa.
Lisa, you're muted.
I was just wondering where we do hold meetings when we do get together. I really would appreciate to have a in-person meeting sometime in the near future, just because this whole time I've not had any physical contact, and I'm more of a visual whiteboard kind of person, and it's really difficult to do. And I think tackle things on Zoom without having at least an in-person, after we kind of get everything set in stone about what we want to handle. And it's just my personal preference and just how my brain works. But
a lot of us have never met in person because of COVID, but like you and I, Lisa, but we used to meet at the county courthouse the same night that the planning commission met, because there were already people there to keep the courthouse open. And we're not sure if that option will be available in the future. So we don't know where we would meet in person at this time. That's about all I know. And Bird?
I'm wondering, Lelania brought up something in emails.
Bird, you muted yourself by mistake.
Sorry. Lelania brought up something that I thought was going to be addressed during the cannabis survey, and it wasn't. I think that might be what Lisa wanted to talk about. Is that something that we are going to discuss? You're muted too.
I don't know what you're referring to, and I don't know if that's part of this agenda item right now. Is it?
I thought we were about finished with this one, and I didn't want to leave the meeting without bringing this up.
Future agenda items, we could maybe open it up for discussion there. Does that sound good? A possible future agenda item?
And no, I don't think it's a possible. I think it should have been with the cannabis survey. I'm not sure where it should be.
Okay, so let me go ahead. What is it?
It's the issue that Lelania brought up about the meeting last time.
That's not anything that we're going to talk about publicly. That's already been dealt with.
So I have a question.
I would like to have known that it was dealt with.
Yeah, it was, I can talk with you about it after, not in a public forum, but we talked with county council and it's a non-issue at this time.
Thank you.
Eddie?
That's all I needed. That's all I needed. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
I think we're on the same. So, because we were going to have a closed session, you need 30 days to do that. Okay. So that process. Okay. Got it.
Yep. It didn't rise to that level. And there's probably no other reason to discuss it in a public forum. Jim?
Can we go back to what we were just talking about?
Yeah. Future meeting planning.
Future meeting planning. Personally, at some point, we're going to have to establish a 2 or 3 person group to do some strategizing on how we will meet in the future, partly because we don't know if we're going to have the meeting space that we used to have. And secondly, we don't know what the Brown Act laws, how they might change, and whether or not they will allow some sort of a hybrid function. I would favor that, but I don't know if they will. And so I would hate to have, well, I bet it'll be 9 months now, but 9 months from now, the pandemic is subsiding and all of a sudden we're scrambling to figure out how we're going to meet in the future. I think that we don't need to do it tonight, but I think we should be thinking about it soon.
I agree. We'll move that up to unfinished business and see and leave it there as long as we need to figure out what we've got to do with it as time goes on. And when we find out that other commissions and the supervisors themselves, and quite honestly, everybody, I'm a teacher and our meetings are by Zoom and we teach in the same school. It's kind of crazy. We're all there together with our students, but we still meet by Zoom when we're doing our meetings. So to try to keep the cross filtering down. But I agree. Future agenda items. I don't know if we found anything that was going to go on the future agenda, David. I don't feel like we did today. Nothing was discussed that was going to become a future agenda item, I believe.
Unless I'm wrong, did we want to put future meeting planning on for future agenda items?
Yes.
It's already on the agenda, so it wouldn't be a future agenda item. We're just going to move it up to unfinished business. Because it's already on the agenda as a new business, so it's going to move up to unfinished business now. So future agenda item will be something that wasn't on the agenda.
Got it.
Eddie?
Yeah, since we're going to be scanning those documents, I think we should have a short, quick conversation of how we will store those things. I mean, I'm talking about 5 minutes, and should they be put in the Access Humboldt arena or shared with the library? But just maybe have some ideas really short.
Okay, let's move that existing storage and records up to unfinished business then, because it's already new business. And Guy?
Yeah, one of our guests, Sean McLaughlin, asked a question earlier about SB2, which was just
we don't answer questions off chat, and that's not an agenda item. But if you'd like to talk with them,
well, that's what I'm saying. Talking about as a future agenda item to maybe maybe tie it in with the texting investigation, because I figure that's where it would probably be most appropriate.
Great. If you are willing to reach out to them or have them reach out to you and discuss with them and then send an email that you'd like to have it added to the agenda, that'd be great. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Okay, wonderful. Yeah, because because not everybody can see what's in texting, so we couldn't do that. We can't act on it.
I think Lisa wants to say something.
Lisa? I didn't see her hand up, but go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, no, sorry. I just
it's okay.
I can't see the agenda back and forth, so I don't know if it's in a place. Well, because I do want to address, there was a lot of correspondence back and forth on this whole other issue regarding Lelania, and I don't know if it's something that why we're not in a place where we can discuss it, because it's been I don't know where the outcome is or how how us as commissioners are getting reported to about the outcome of whatever discussions that you've had with the lawyer or whatever. And I would like to have some kind of discussion about it and I don't know where we're going to be able to do that.
You might want to repeat that for our chair. She ran off.
Oh, almost fell down. Sorry, guys.
So Lisa, you're wanting to know what is the result of her investigation with the lawyers?
Right, and where we would discuss it, because because I did call for a special meeting just to address it, and since I didn't get this request in for a closed session, and we don't want to discuss it here in open public, then where is it we're discussing it? And can have it reported to or something? I feel like I'm in the dark here.
Lisa, as I said at the beginning of the meeting when you brought it up, I'd be glad to talk with you about it. So we're not going to pull together a quorum of commissioners, but I can speak with anybody about it separately to explain what process happened. Okay.
Bird and Mr. Glover, could you help us out with how we've dealt with things like this in the past, maybe?
Well, I don't know that we've dealt with something exactly like this, but I guess the reason I brought it up was because I believe most of the commissioners saw some emails or something about it and had questions about it. And it seems to me that the best thing that could happen would be for the chair, once it has been solved, to send out a message to each commissioner that this is what happened. It's finished. We do not have a meeting about it.
Right, and that's what we're finalizing. We've been, it's been an ongoing process, and unfortunately, there were different emails being sent out to different people. And I know that you guys remember at one point I sent out an email asking that we all speak as one voice, but it became very scattered. So yeah. I've been spending my time coalescing everything. We have talked to legal counsel. We've got all of that done. And again, it's nothing that we're going to move forward on at this meeting or have a special meeting over.
But
I will send out an email explaining.
Good. And every commissioner will get it, and you're saying that no one else will get it.
No one else. There's no one else who should get it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Jim, is that what you would say about?
No, I obviously that at least more directly addresses Lisa's concern, and all she's asking is to be notified of what has transpired. I think that would take care of it. I think.
Yeah. Getting together all the different emails and all the different things and reviewing videos going back 6 months, reviewing emails, reviewing everything, all of the different things so that we could make a conscious and conscientious decision was done. And so I've just been having a new grandson, so I just haven't quite got an email out to you guys. But the things were discussed, and Lisa, I'd be glad to. By tomorrow morning, Lisa, I'll give you a call if I haven't been able to email it out to everyone yet. Sound good?
Tomorrow it would be better because I'm flying in the morning.
Okay, you text me when you're available, and I'll let you know.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah, I just don't want to feel like it's getting swept under the table. So thank you so much for that.
No worries. I understand.
And at this point, I'm sorry, Aaron.
Yeah, Lisa, what kind of notification are you wanting?
Thank you, Aaron.
Probably email would be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's after that. If I have any questions.
All right. Well, I appreciate all of you, and I know it's been kind of confusing. We're a little bit off topic and off agenda, but Jim.
Well, since we're off topic, Mary, if you're going to do it by email, just do it by email and follow your.
That's what I'm going to do. I'll send the email, and I'll have the secretary send it out to everybody. I just want to let everyone know that if anybody knows. With everyone I've talked to, I've done due diligence. I've spent over 30 hours on this month.
I'm not questioning that.
Moving forward, I think that I can say that I appreciate everyone's viewpoint, and we'll leave it at that.
Amen.
Okay. I I teach high school guys.
It's a good thing.
For the future, if we have something like this that comes out, one of the best things that could happen would be during the time that you're spending 30 hours, send an email to everyone saying, I am working on this. When it's finished, I will send you a final report. And then we know that it's happening. I think, Lisa, I think that's what you were asking for and what I was, knowing what was happening. Is this something that got
I've sent emails out. I've sent emails out.
We're not castigating you. We're not.
Yeah. It's like, and I've responded to each and every person. It was a process. It was out of the ordinary. And I'll just say that hopefully we don't, I consider this a learning instance, and I hope that we've all learned something. And moving forward, that we do remember. The only thing I'll say is that I want us to all remember that we are the Human Rights Commission, and that we should practice kindness towards each other as often as possible, and use our words to use our words and our actions to represent who we are.
Yes, I agree with all of that. I'm just asking that you keep everyone in the loop at the same time, not just
that when that email comes out, that's what I'll have done. We're close.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I want to acknowledge some really awesome multitasking to run this meeting and babysit at the same time.
Well, the reason she cried is she took herself to the bathroom and put half the roll of toilet paper in the toilet and tried to flush it. So
Oh, no.
I also have to plunge the toilet away. Well, on that note, everybody, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 6:36. That's a pretty, compared to last week. Last time we got out at 7:45. So I'm liking the, we stayed with us. So you want to tell everybody? Okay, adjourn to 30. You want to say bye, everybody?
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah, I'm going to stop
Bye,
recording
thank
at
you.
this time.
Thank you, Ellen.
Lisa, if you want
Recording
to stay on for a
stopped.
couple minutes. Oh, she left. I was going to say, how are you? I haven't seen you in so long. What are you doing zooming in with us from San Francisco?
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Hi. Look at me being our grandma. Huh?
Bonnie Burns is my mom, as you know.
No, I forgot
Oh.
that.
Yeah.
I
know that.
so forgot Carpani was your mom. I lost that in translation. I love her. And
Yeah.
I still keep up with you and what's going on and everyone.
Yeah, good to see you.
Introduce yourself to everybody who's left and tell them what you do.
Oh, well, hi everybody. I'm Nube. I'm Nube Brown. I actually raised my son up there in Humboldt. So, hi, who's that little one that you're with? Who's
This
that?
is my granddaughter. I'm here babysitting her because my grandson was born today. So
Oh, congratulations.
I've done a lot to be able to take 10 days off work because I teach at McKinleyville High School now. So to be able to take off work and be here and be a mom and a grandma and do all the things. But my daughter had to have a cesarean. So when she gets home from the hospital, I'll be here for a week. So that's kind of what's going on.
That's great.
And that's probably why I haven't gotten the whole thing done yet. Bert, it was a lot to, there were a lot of moving parts, weren't there, Jim?
We did a good job, so thank you. I'm going to leave now. Thanks. Goodbye.
Okay, take care.
I'm out of here too.
You're being silly. You're being silly. So are you still down in Berkeley?
No. So I live in San Francisco now because I am editing the San Francisco Bayview National Black newspaper.
Well, I see that looking at I was like, well, I totally forgot Carpani was your mom.
Yeah.
I've lost I don't know. I haven't seen you in probably 10 years. So,
At least, yeah. Because, I mean, we left Humboldt in, so I guess it was about 8 years ago. Kaya is, he graduated from UC Santa Barbara. He's actually living here in San Francisco now, too.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I have a granddaughter who's a freshman in high school. That'll tell you.
That's crazy. Wow.
I'm having my fourth grandchild was born, and that's it. We're done at 4. Each of them had, my son had 2, and my daughter had 2. My daughter's a climate change scientist. She's a professor over at University of Nevada now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my youngest, she never lived up there. She was at UC Berkeley when I moved up there and everything. Well, I better go feed her. She is like 30
I hear
minutes,
that.
half hour late getting food. She's getting frisky.
I see ya. Okay, well, she's very cute. Okay, it was good to see you. Good to see you again.
Made me smile. I love you and I miss you. Take care, dear.
Okay, you too. Be well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.